Okay, today we'll be talking about meta and a little bit on how I think it could get really out of hand if we don't, if Scopely doesn't really monitor what they're doing, and the problems I see in the game at the moment. So obviously we got a few gold pulls here at the start. Obviously, you know what I want. I want to pull a princess. Still haven't pulled one yet after God knows how many pulls. An alpha and the Aaron to make grade 5 would be great, and then obviously a Dr. Stevens would be very nice also. So pretty much you've seen my pulls before. You'll know how many of each tune I've pretty much had before from these pulls. So if you see a Darius, if you see, a Thomas Richards, it's gonna be bit fodder. And most of these characters I can just buy from the gold medal store, so I'm not really too happy. It is very meh to me. I've got loads of gold medals, so it's not really a biggie. So this is when the season reset, and we could buy some season tokens. From the shop. So obviously I got 4 pulls here. So there's my alpha. Very happy about that. There's my Ezekiel. I've already got too many of him. Harlan, not too bad. And then an Aaron. So about 15 minutes before that, that's when the feather roadmap came out. So I bought an Aaron and a alpha from the shop. Just 15 minutes later to pull them both from the gold wheel. So a little bit pissed about that, but I can limit break them, so it's not a biggie. And then we do have another Darius, which is very meh. Not too crazy. That's just another bit for me. And then I believe this is my last pull of the video, and we do get a Dr. Stevens, so very happy. I'll be saving my tokens from now on. Forgot to mention this, but I will be streaming CRW this weekend, so if you're excited for that, please hit the like button. It does show me you really want me to stream CRW. But with that being said, we will be talking about the meta, how I think we can freshen it up a bit, how I think we can stop repeated mistakes happening again, and just to make everyone feel a bit better, playing the game, if you will. So obviously, I will address the elephant in the room. Zachary is a problem. It was a horrible, horrible character design choice for them to release Zachary. So the problem being, he's busted. Like his one mythic skill, just that one thing on his kit made him broken, and that is that 30% 30% of his attack in bleed. 30% is an incredibly high number. And it's not like Ty, where Ty is balanced in my opinion, because only 2 people are getting the burn. Whereas Zachary, everyone is getting the bleed turned 1, and 30%, you can easily get that up to 30,000, not a problem. Which, most teams aren't going to be able to counter that, because they don't have enough HP. It is just a ridiculous number, and it was just a really poor character choice. But yeah. So that one thing on the kit just made it broken. Now I will say nobody likes this meta, and you're probably thinking, oh well, the whales probably fucking love it. They're just pressing auto, they have no struggles at all. Well, here's where you're completely wrong, because I know I speak to people, they don't enjoy this meta. They think it is dog shit. They think it is boring. Because what made this game interesting to most is finding team combos, finding ways to make yourself advance more, or just getting that little extra head start on people. So you find this mod that makes your team go a turn faster. You find this weapon that just opens up a new window for you to play around with. You find a defense team that can hold out 2 or 3 more turns more than a normal team. You find out all these little tips and tricks to make yourself a better player and better than your competition. But with Zachary, what's the fun? You're literally just shoving him in a team and saying, yeah, fuck it, it's going on auto. People don't enjoy that. It's like the 6 meta where you had 2 Zacharys on a team. It wasn't fun. You couldn't really defend against it, and it was just really, really fucking boring. So even the higher up people that might have pulled for him just to keep competitive, they don't enjoy it. It's just not a fun experience for most players. And obviously free to play, they're not fucking liking it. Obviously, yeah, there is counters. I made a video on there is counters, but it's stale. Majority of people have the same teams for the last few months, especially if you're a light or medium spender, or even free to play. You're just gonna have the same teams for the last few months, and attacking with the same team is boring as fuck. Because you remember the last era of the S class, everyone was just running the same team. Everyone was running the same team. Everyone had the same team for months on end, because there was so many broken characters that with a certain combo, those broken characters, there's nothing stopping them. It was just run through the teams. So, obviously, tune we need more tunes and more variety, and they need to do more. So obviously, I've said my piece with Zachary. He was a broken kit. He never should have been in the game at his current level. It should have been heavily reduced. And going forward, they really need to look at mythic skills, because mythic skills are game changers. They can change a tune from being meh to amazing. So they really need to tone it down and actually get feedback from their player council or whatnot, and just say, yo, what do you think of this? Because they will give honest opinions, and I don't think anyone is going to say Zachary is balanced. So, with that being said, that is the problem with the meta. It is just a horrible choice, and it is auto meta. So, how do you fix a meta that is broken? You got to release more things. Now, how you release it is very, very crucial. So, obviously, you can just release a hard counter, which be a leader that nullifies bleed or burn, and then there's your problem gone. But would it be free to play? Maybe. Would it be pay to play? More likely. It doesn't really solve an issue. It just blocks off more ways in the future of people attacking. So here's where I go into another problem that Scopely always seems to corner themselves with. They make something OP, they got to counter it hard, so they make a hard counter, and by doing that they lock off more ways of attacking. So first of all, Ezekiel can't use attack down. I will admit that attack down shit was pretty cheesy. You could turn one any teams with Tyrese and what was his name? The cult leader one. I forget his name. Jeremiah. It was pretty broken, so you had to introduce that. Now, do I think Ezekiel's busted? Probably not. No, because his leader skill is pretty good. Everyone gets defense. Everyone gets defense down and resist. That's pretty much the extent of him. It's not bad, but this is where the next thing comes in, because defense down, it's very niche. It's not really a big problem. But if they were to release a hard bleed resist counter, so let's say 25% defense, all people get bleed resistance for 3 turns. Now, that is way more impactful than just taking away defense down, because bleed is a way to kill. Bleed, burn, infection, hemorrhage, basic damage, those are all ways of killing. They're all different, unique ways of killing people. And if you take away one of them, it just very, very much narrows down what you can do to beat some of these teams as a player. So, obviously, I do recommend Scopely on how to fix this. Is they really, really got to ramp out, and I mean ramp out, free to play characters that can give small counters to Zachary and whatnot. Now, you're probably saying, oh, why small counters? Because if you completely lock off bleed, that means you're locking it off in the future for future raids. You've got to think about it in the future. You can't just think, oh, well, it's a problem now, let's just knock it off real quick with an easy bleed resistance leader skill. That just doesn't fix the problem for the future. It fixes the problem right now, but for the future, it will just lock off more options. And this is where I'm going into another update they're bringing out is, I believe it's Payback. Payback will become a lot more powerful, and I do think it is a very bad thing, because Payback will now activate if they take 30% more of bleed, burn, or any status effect. They will bounce it back at you, meaning in the future, yet again, they're locking off another way to attack. They're locking off bleed and burn, because if you stack it up too high, you're just going to whack back with it. So basically, what they're saying is you've got to basic hit down that knee gun, because you can't stack your bleed too high because you get hit back. You can't stack up your burn too high, you get hit back. Which I do think is incredibly unhealthy, because by doing that, you're essentially, well, you're pretty much locking off 2 ways of attacking. And with that being said, bleed, burn, that's already gone. So you've got hemorrhage, that's going to activate as well, can't use that. So you've either got infection, or you've got basic attacks. And that is not very healthy. That is not healthy. You're locking off ways of attacking. And, going forward, that's not a good thing. More ways of attacking, the better the game will be, the more healthier the meta will be. So, we'll be cutting off from that now. And obviously, we just need more counters. Pretty much more counters. So, how would I suggest it? So, here's what I was thinking. Now, obviously, considering free-to-play players are using the same attack teams and never really get ways of getting their hands on promos. And when I mean promos, I don't mean, Ezekiel, Mirabelle, Dr. Stevens. I mean really meta impactful ones. or ones that can really change up the way someone attacks a team. So what I would suggest, but before I say that, I will say they are releasing a dynamic duo event where you can 100% get a Michonne or a Sandy by completing the requirements, which should be very easy. So obviously you should pick up the Michonne because Sandy is always going to be there while a Michonne is not. But beside that, um, they should release, in my opinion, they should release ways of players getting their hands on older promos. Now, the way I see the game should be is you should pay to speed up your progression. You should never be forced, or not forced, but intrigued to spend, knowing there's no chance of you ever getting that character if you do not spend. It should be pay to progress. So let's say I've played a few games before. They'll release a promo character. They'll so let's say week one they'll release a promo character. A couple weeks will pass, like 2 weeks. They'll reduce the price of that character, and then a few weeks later, after that, so like after a month or two, that character will be free to play accessible. And then weeks, like more time down the line, it will just become a common character, so you can get your hands on them. So how I propose free to play or any real player gets their hands on more promos is set a challenge. I've always been a strong believer of grinders should be rewarded and not punished. So what I mean is you should have seasonal goals. So every 30 days, every month, you should have a set reward, like a set challenge. So kill 50,000 walkers, use 2,000 world energy, use 500 energy in raid. Do 500 stages of SR. Do 50 territory battles or something like that. Have a set rewards. Now, granted, they would be higher rewards because it's for an entire month. You would have to grind for them. But if you completed that at the end of the month, you would have access to a promo character. Now, it wouldn't be a recent one. It would be one of the older ones, but a still valid and fairly used one. Now, you'd have a gold choice selection. You'd have let's say a Michonne. You would have let's say a Dr. Stevens, and let's say a Carol. You would have access to one of those characters at the end of every month, which you could grind for. And I do think that would not exactly fix the meta problem, but it would introduce a lot more variety into people's attack teams. It would just make people a lot more creative, a bit more happy to log in, a bit more excited that they know they got a new character on the way, instead of just doing the same old SR raids thingy repeat while they're not changing anything. They're just gaining meaningless rewards and just not really enjoying themselves. So I think that would be a good way of introducing promo characters to free to play. Also, when doing event characters, I do think it should be every 3 characters should be available. You shouldn't lock off the limit broken one. You should just make it extremely grindy for the limit broken one. Now, if you want to pay to speeding things up, you can, but I don't think you should just lock it off. Now, do I think the requirement should be easy? No, not at all. I think the third one should be hardest to get, and it should reward your grinding. So I do reckon that in itself could help just keep people intrigued. It could help the meta, because if that character that you release in an event is worth it, people will go the extra mile to get that character, and it might freshen up the meta a little bit. That being said, you've got to give free to play players better alternatives. So anything like Aikyo, for example, very, very underwhelming. Not that great. Cow was okay, but more than not, people are going to be running Mirabelle still because she is the more dominant of the two. So you're just giving us budget versions of promo characters that are already out. So with that being said, just release event exclusive characters that are unique. So bring in a new skill, like a command. Not saying you should bring in a command yet, but a command or lightning reflexes or something like that. Just something new that people would think, that probably is, somewhat viable, and I could probably make something work there. So people are forced to change up their attack teams. They can get some new tunes in. They can play around. I know I'm ranting about the same shit over and over, but I really want this to be nailed in. That you've just got to give people more variety. Using the same shit every day, getting the same rewards every day, it becomes very stale. It doesn't make people want to carry on playing. It will increase retirements. It will lower your player base. Just releasing more and more OP promos for a quick cash flow does not fix the internal problem that you keep creating. And I do really think you should listen to your community and really, really have people at Scopy that play the game and think, how would this impact the meta? Because this character could be broken or is very underwhelming. You need to find a nice sweet spot where they're not broken, but they have a very unique use that you claim you want every tune to have, just to make the meta a better and more fresh environment. So, just in conclusion, Zachary was a bad mistake. Learn from it. Don't do the same mistake. Zachary's mythic ability was too strong. Also, with payback, when you're buffing it, you're locking off ways of attack. We need more ways of attack. Don't lock them off. So I think that adjustment to payback was a very, very bad one when it does get introduced. Also, give free to play promo tunes. Not immediately, not the most recent ones, but give them promo tunes that are a little bit older but are still relevant. And also, release more event tunes. More event tunes means more variety, and we just need that in the game. It's people's using the same attack teams. It's not fun. And I will say, just to end off the video, I do think there is going to be an armory update soon, because with all these weapons in the store, like that slugger Sophia had, it was a 60% chance to stun or something like that. And then we got the battle pass reward, which interesting, is an improved chance. So I do think armory update is inbound. So let's hope maybe that brings a bit more variety into the meta, but I don't know. So with that being said, I hope you enjoyed my little rant about metas, how we can improve it by introducing more characters, not to lock off more ways of attacking, and then really just thinking about what you're doing in the game and how you could reward players for grinding a bit more. So with that being said, hope you enjoyed the video. Discord link in the description. Like, comment, subscribe, ask me anything in the comments, and yeah, peace out.